Would like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It looks as though we just might have a quorum this evening. So I'll dive right into the roll call. Joyita is, I do not see her. Jade, you're muted, but present.
Jade's here.
Okay, yeah.
I am here. Tan May.
Here.
And I believe we have our newest member, Conrad Shapira.
Shapira, yep.
Shapira, welcome.
Thank you.
Daniel Sullivan.
Here.
And Ranjith Kumar does not appear to be here. Okay, so if our alternate's not here, we can't seat our alternate. Does anybody have any comments on the agenda that was sent out?
I have one quick one.
Go ahead.
I did see the thing that we're not allowed to talk about until it goes on the agenda, but doesn't that just make all this silly? We can't, it's a general fund tax now. So what
Yes,
are we
it is.
overseeing? Nothing, right?
I would characterize our role as being to make recommendations to the city council.
Okay, so it's not oversight, it's recommendation. That's fair.
Given agenda items 8, 2, and 3, I propose that we change the order such that if there are recommendations from the community, that we can address those when we review the projected revenues and funding actions. Is that okay with everybody?
Works for me.
Are there any
Yes.
objections? Okay, we will rearrange that when we come to it. Has everybody reviewed the minutes from our last meeting in December?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Are there any comments about the minutes?
Nope.
Okay, I will welcome a meeting to approve the meeting. I will welcome a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our December 16 meeting.
I say second.
Approved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
I
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Chair,
Do we really need a roll call?
I need to know who motioned and who seconded. Was that, because I just heard Jade for a second. Was there?
Okay.
He proposed it.
Who thinks they made the motion? Several people actually did, I think. Would somebody specifically like to go on record as having made the motion?
Okay, let it be me. I'll make the motion.
Okay, and a second.
I will second it.
Was that Conrad?
That was Conrad.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And then one more, Chair, we need to approve the agenda, please.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Oh, technically that's ahead. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Does it matter that we won't be able to sit the alternate? So that was part of our agenda.
The seating of alternates is if required and if they are available.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
And Conrad seconded. Would you like a roll call or can we do this by acclamation?
I'm okay with doing this one by acclamation. This one's very simple.
Okay. All in favor of approving the agenda? Aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. The minutes were approved. Moving on, public forum. Do we have any members of the public present?
There are two members of the public present. I believe neither of them have any comments.
Okay. Do any members of the committee have anything in general that they would like to say to the committee? Hearing none, we will move on. Item number 8, business items. Our vice chair resigned. In fact, we've had a total of 3 resignations and we have 1 new member. So the vice chair resigned. We need to elect a new vice chair. Are there any nominations from the committee for a current committee member to be vice chair?
Well, I recommend Conrad if he's willing.
Oh. I would like to get at least a meeting under my belt before I'm willing. Does that sound fair?
That sounds fair, Conrad. Well, in that case, there's only 3 other choices, right? So, Tanmay, would you like to do it? I don't think you have to do anything, right?
Well, as long as Neil makes every meeting, that's correct.
I'm not hearing Tanmay scream out loud that he really wants to do it, though.
Oh, no, I would actually pass on this for now. Maybe next time. Thank you.
Ranjith, do you or I want to flip a coin? Because I don't think there's anything to really do here. Would you like to do it, Ranjith?
I can try. Like, actually, I don't know much. Like, if you think with a fresher like me can handle, I would love to try it.
Well, I'm sure that Neil will guide us, right, Neil?
Oh, yeah.
So Ranjith, I suggest that we have Ranjith do. I motion.
Okay, Ranjith has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Do. Okay, I don't think there are any other nominations. Will the secretary please conduct a roll call vote?
Chair, if I could,
Yes.
apologies, but I just want to make sure that Mr. Kumar is not an alternate. If he is an alternate, he's not a voting member then officially, and I don't think you could have him as vice chair.
Okay.
So it would have to be one of the 7 that are the voting members.
So who's the actual chair?
I am the chair.
Okay,
Neil.
Neil's the chair.
Yeah.
Siok, I think that leaves you or me. You want to arm wrestle over it, or I don't care. Would you like to do it?
Sometimes I'm tongue-tied. I got things to say. I couldn't quite get it out. So I think you better take the role.
I'm happy to do so if no one else will do it.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Okay, I nominate Daniel Sullivan for the role of vice chair.
I second it.
Is there any discussion? Are there any further nominations?
I move to close the nomination period.
I think that everybody in attendance, with the exception of Daniel, has declined.
Yeah, I was sort of it by
that's-
default, right?
that is eligible. So it's highly unlikely that there are any other nominees. Okay. Now, time for the roll call vote.
All right, Joyita, absent. Jade,
Yes,
Neil,
Yes,
Tanmay,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
and Daniel.
Sure, yes.
And then just for the record, Ranjit did join the meeting. So he's officially on attendance.
It looks like he's joined twice.
And Rosanisi, is Ranjit, then can he be seated as a voting member or since there's not 7? Because otherwise he can't really vote on items.
Yes, he can.
Yeah.
Chair,
motion to seat Ranjith as a voting member for this meeting.
I'll motion that.
Any seconds?
I second the motion.
Okay, and even though he's here twice in virtual space, he only gets 1 vote.
Chair, I'd like to acknowledge that Joyita has joined the meeting.
Is there any discussion? Can we do this by acclamation?
For seating the alternate?
Yes.
Do we have to make a motion or something? Or
Oh, we already have, and it was seconded.
Yes, I think
Yes.
that's fine.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes by acclamation.
Then I think Roseanne, you were in the middle of the vote for the vice chair. So we just need to finish that.
So we have, oh, Ranjith? Would you like to vote yes or no for Daniel?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. Joyita has joined, and she said she's having connection issues. Joyita, we're in the middle of voting for a vice chair. I'm not sure if you're going to be able
Her
to.
audio is not on, so I think for this one at least, she won't be on the vote.
Okay.
maybe
then-
she could use the chat, but other than that.
All right, so we have 6 voted yes for Daniel as vice chair.
Okay. That's at least a majority, if not everyone. Welcome to the role of vice chair. Sub-item 3 under item 8. This comes about, at least in part, due to a request that Jade made in our last meeting. She asked if she could make suggestions for expenditures. So I will ask Jade specifically, what are your suggestions? Suggestions.
I left my notes downstairs. I didn't expect you to ask me the question. Yeah, but I was, when I make that suggestion, I was looking at what was in Measure F when we voted. And I think there were few items that I didn't see it in our proposal for expenditure, but they are not exactly that essential in my opinion. I just thought if we have leeways in our budget that are good things to consider. So I will pass right now.
Okay,
I look at the budget that we just approved, that's from our meeting, from the, from the minutes of our last meeting in December.
okay. Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this matter?
There are no comments from the public.
Okay, I do have one item. The Milpitas Fire Department operates its own EMS vehicle, operates and staffs an EMS vehicle generally housed at Fire Station 1 in parallel with a contract with the county to provide such services, which places an EMS vehicle at all fire stations as well. This seems like
Neil? Sorry. So it doesn't, the county contract does not place an EMS vehicle at every fire station. And I don't believe right now, and Lauren, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that Milpitas Fire is licensed or out of compliance with the county agreement regarding that vehicle at Station 1.
I did not accuse it of accuse anyone of being.
Oh, no. I'm not saying you did, but yeah, sorry. So, but the correction is that the rural metro AMR does not staff every fire station with an EMS vehicle.
So I would like to recommend that Milpitas Fire stop funding what appears to me anyway to be a redundant resource.
So how do we do that? Do we take a note and then just pass on our recommendations? Is that, Neil, something that we do?
I think if we make a motion, to propose a motion, vote on a motion to make a recommendation to the city council, that's about all we can do relative to, frankly, anything.
And
All right, Neil, so did you want to make an motion on that?
Chair, if we could just get some clarification on what it is that you're recommending we don't do, because we want to make sure we understand if there's some information that we need to get to you about the services that we currently have, because we haven't even started our ambulance service yet.
Yeah.
One ambulance, and we haven't rolled that out. So just want to make sure we are getting clarity on what it is you would like us to pass along to council.
Right, I will review what I got written down and I will send it in an email. I don't have it right now. I will respond in an email. Is that okay?
Yeah, and I was just referring to Chair Osborne's suggestion.
Yes. So to Jade, if you send the email, we will plan to put that on the agenda for our next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let me
Chairman,
revisit what I have. Let me revisit, see if there was any discrepancy. And if so, I'll write it down. Okay, thank you.
So Chairman, is there a discussion right now regarding the EMS services that are provided by the Milpitas Fire Department and the rig that you are referring to?
Sure.
Okay, so from my knowledge, working with county OES and Milpitas CERT and the fire department, every fire apparatus device in every station, everybody is equipped for EMS services. So every truck has a paramedic on it or a medic, one of the two. In Milpitas, we happen to have a unit at this point in time that appears to be an ambulance, but is not. So we do not currently, we do not transport within the city of Milpitas any patients in that vehicle. So it's not a redundancy of services with the county contract regarding rural metro or AMR. So I want some clarification on how that unit, what the perception of how that unit's being used and what it's being used for. As Assistant City Manager stated, we haven't entered into transport of any patients within that unit, so it's not an ambulance. It is an EMS device, no different than any fire truck or aerial rig that currently exists in the city of Milpitas.
Well, I would take exception to that statement. It is a single purpose EMS unit. It cannot fight a fire. It does not have ladders. It's very limited, in fact, in what it can respond to in terms of automobile accidents.
So Neil, I think we understand.
Yeah.
There's a difference of
Okay.
opinion. No problem with that. Do you want to put forth a motion for us to vote on?
Yes.
Do so.
My motion is that Milpitas Fire Department cease funding and operation of a dedicated EMS vehicle.
Does anybody want to second it, I guess? So this is just an advisory to them, right? A suggestion.
Yes.
So then I'll go ahead and recommend or second that, and
Okay.
then we can vote on it, right?
It has been seconded. Secretary, please please conduct a roll call vote.
Joyita,
You're muted, Joyita.
Thank you. Aye.
thank you. Jade,
I abstain. I have to think about that.
Chair,
Aye.
Tanmay,
Aye.
Conrad,
Nay.
Daniel,
I will abstain.
and Ranjit.
I abstain.
We have 3 ayes, 1 nay, and 3 abstain. So it looks like we're at a,
It doesn't, you need
Doesn't.
4, right?
Okay. Moving on, are there any further recommendations from the committee or the community on increases or decreased spending in areas that are somewhat related to Measure F?
So just for clarification, I now understand Measure F is everything. It can be spent on anything to do with the city, correct? So I would then like to recommend that we increase spending on the community garden.
Okay,
I'd like to recommend we double the area allocated to the community garden and open up new lots for people in the community.
can you make that a bit more specific as a motion?
I'd like to take the current site for the community gardens and double them in size.
So the motion is along the lines of doubling the expenditure for community gardens?
The square footage available. So the reason for this is people I know are trying to get a plot in the community garden. There's a 15-year waiting list. That seems silly in a place that has a bunch of open ground.
How many community gardens do we have? I only
know
know
two-
one in the neighborhood.
I know of 2. There may be more, but I know of 2.
I only know one, so. And
But I would just like us to recommend that they should expand the community garden.
well, it seems like all those high-rise buildings, they ought to have one, right? It's just really dense housing, and I don't know if for Yeah,
They're
to
pretty
even
smart people.
accommodate that, we have to have a lot of land.
So they could, well, there's a lot of land in Milpitas. They're very smart people. They can figure out where it should go. I just want to recommend that the city spend some money and expand that service.
Okay, so Daniel, I think your motion is along the lines of recommend that the city double the square footage available for community gardens.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you make that motion?
So I make that motion that the city
Okay,
do that.
is there a
Sorry.
second? Anyone?
I will second it.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on this motion?
So I want to know, like, what is the funds, additional funds going to do? Is it going to buy a land for the community garden, or what is it going to do?
So that would really be up to the town council. If they have the land adjacent, they would simply have to pay to expand the area that's fenced in and then divvy up the plots and provide the next people in line, I guess, with plots. Or they may wind up buying land, but I think the city has land available. That's really up to the town council how they address the suggestion.
Wouldn't it be better if they have, you know, the developer and then we have some kind of, I can't remember, you know, ordinance like for the developer to allocate a piece of land for their community?
Well, they do. The developers are required to have parkland available whenever they do a development, and that's done in negotiation with the town council. The community garden is really a different object than the parks.
Yeah, I
And
know
the
that.
town council could address it however they want to.
Any further discussion? None heard. Will the secretary please call the roll on the motion?
Joyita,
I would, do you want me to say the motion? What do you want me to do?
We're voting on the
voting.
motion.
Okay.
Yes or no?
Oh, okay. Yeah, aye.
Jane,
That's a good idea. I go with it.
Chair,
Aye.
Tanmay,
Aye.
Conrad,
Aye.
Daniel,
Aye.
and Ranjit.
Aye.
Thank you. We have unanimous ayes.
Daniel, since you are thinking about gardens, we have a small little plot in our school, which is run by high school students. And it has made a huge difference to the school. It is a school for continuation, high school students in continuation education in Milpitas.
I personally love gardens, but I'm
yeah,
recovering from a
yeah.
illness, and the gardening is a big help.
Huge, it has made a big difference. I was also thinking that instead of plots, you know, all the companies and buildings that are here, we see it in Asian countries, how on top of buildings, they have created gardens. And that is something maybe, you know, when you are thinking about this, we could even think of using buildings and the tops of buildings into creating gardens. It doesn't always have to be on land.
That's a very good idea. And the town council, if they wanted our input, they could ask for it, but they're fairly clever people and they can be very creative on how they address that. That's up to them. I just want us to recommend that they spend some time, maybe some land and maybe some money on this.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great idea. Also, the library, we could request to do the park on the terrace instead of the parking, but that is reducing parking lot. That would be another concern. And the city
Okay.
doesn't have it that much. Sorry.
I need to corral the additional conversation. Our meeting is pressed for time. We have a hard stop. These are great discussions, and I'll have to have a conversation with some of my friends on the Emergency Preparedness Committee and tell them to start late and run late. So still on this topic, are there any other recommendations for increased or decreased expenditures?
I have one, but I want to wait and see if anybody else has something they'd like to do first. All right, I counted to 3. I don't know, and forgive me, I don't know all the rules, but the tennis courts at Milpitas High School used to be accessible. I think we got a new person in charge of the high school, and they've locked all the tennis courts for the last 5 years. And I know that the community used to use the tennis courts regularly. I'd like to see if the city can somehow force or pay the school to make those available so people can play in the evenings and weekends on those courts.
So the motion would be for the city to work
Enable.
city to work with the school district to enable use of those community use of those tennis courts.
Correct.
I
All my
assume,
Vietnamese friends complain to me bitterly about those not being available now.
I assume you'd like to make that motion.
Yes, please.
Is there a second?
I second. I'm
Any
glad
further-
he
any further discussion?
suggested that.
I just wanted to say there's another set of courts in the northern San Jose, I guess. It's used constantly. And I used to take my kids over to Milpitas High and play there with them, the tennis. And then they changed something at the school and it all got locked up. And I know a couple of people who were tennis instructors sort of lost some money, and the Vietnamese community used to be out there every weekend in force. So I think it would be very popular. I just understand there is some maintenance cost, but I just can't be that high.
Any further discussion? Okay. We are voting on the motion to have the city work with the school district to enable access of these tennis courts to the community. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Jade,
Yes.
thank you. Joyita,
Yes.
thank you. Chair,
Yes.
Tanmay,
Aye.
thank you. Conrad,
Abstain.
Daniel.
Aye.
And Ranjit.
Yes.
We have 4, I'm sorry, we have 6 ayes and 1 abstain.
Motion carries. Anyone have anything else?
Can I ask about a question related to Measure F? So, like I mentioned, this little school garden in Calaveras Hills High School is, I don't know, is there a possibility for city to fund a little bit to help the school, which is always strapped with funds? We have tried before, with the students creating little pots and selling to the district, but it's very little. And it's a big enough plot to actually plant quite a few fruit trees and make it into a nice garden for the school. Is that something that we can try to see if Measure F would fund? I don't know.
So Jita, I just had one comment.
Yeah.
I think it's always hard for the city to fund stuff in private areas. That's just hard. The other thing is, I'm at Troop 164 Boy Scouts in Milpitas.
Yeah.
You should contact us because we do Eagle projects quite frequently where we'll go help the church or school or something like that. So that's an alternate way you could look as well. So feel free to contact me or or Troop 164 directly if you
For
can't get.
funds, how would we raise funds? That's
So
what I'm trying to-
typically we don't raise funds, but we'll come and dig the plot for you. We'll come and build a bench for you. We'll come and do stuff to improve it for you if that was something that would be helpful to you.
So we have the people, because it's a high school, we have the high schoolers. It's funds that we have a problem getting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joyita, do you want to make a motion for the city to give some amount of money to the school for this purpose?
Yeah, I would like to propose a motion for the city to fund the Calaveras Hills Garden Club, which is creating a huge difference among students in the school in continuing education.
Can I ask that you modify the term to fund to change that to like make a grant?
Okay, yeah, I would like to propose a motion for a grant from the city to help Calaveras Hills High School Garden Club maintain a fruit orchard within their compounds.
So Joyita, do you want to put a dollar amount on that?
I would love to. Is that allowed?
Just state a number.
I'll state $2,000.
They don't have to do that number, but we might as well ask.
Yeah, I can just ask for $2,000. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Daniel, for your suggestion.
Okay, do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? None heard. Please call for votes along the roll call.
Joyita,
Aye.
Jade,
Aye.
Chair,
No.
Tanmay,
Aye.
Conrad,
Aye.
Daniel,
Aye.
Ranjan.
Conrad, that sounded like it hurt.
I'm just trying to be, be consistent with what Measure F went on the ballot for. And this seems to be getting out into a gray area, but that's okay.
I understand, but it's only a recommendation, right?
I know. But it's a recommendation that we as the committee are making. And it's just, first meeting, also trying to hold true to what the Measure F was being used for.
I can appreciate that. Yep.
Did you finish the roll call?
I did not. Ranjan,
Yes.
thank you.
Well, students without cell phones, building a garden and planting trees, I think it's not a bad idea. Hopefully the city will agree.
Well, and Joyita, if they don't, you should talk to some other people. I'm sure people on this committee know how to do some fundraising and maybe could find this from private sources if the city isn't able to do this. And there are many ways to skin the cat, right?
I wholeheartedly agree with that also.
Okay.
Chair, we have 6 ayes and 1 no.
Sounds like the motion carried. I will try one more time. Then I will strongly encourage that we move on. Are there any further recommendations on this agenda item? Increase or decreased city spending? Okay, I don't hear anything, so I think we're done with this agenda item. This was a very fruitful conversation, and I think we should agendize this item for all of our future meetings. Moving on. Item number 2, review the projected revenues and confirm that the services recommended to be maintained with Measure F funding are an allowable expenditure consistent with Measure F. And this is a city staff presentation.
Thanks, Chair. If I can get some assistance, we'll put that report up. But before you do that, Roseanne, just want to let folks know the purpose of the committee is to review the estimated revenues for Measure F, and then also look at the recommended expenditures for funds generated from Measure F. So we're in the process of developing the budget. We've had a couple of meetings with the council. In particular, we had a January 25th budget study session, and we also had a mid-year report looking at the current fiscal year. So this committee is being tasked with reviewing with the expenditures and the service areas, and we look forward to your response. So if Roseanne can put this up, I can then walk the committee through it a little bit. So the quarter cent is estimated to generate $6.5 million. A big premise of what we have with Measure F is in the year it was implemented, what services did we contemplate cutting in the budget deliberation process that we actually did not cut? And then from there, this is year 2 of the tax measure, what services did we maintain and do we anticipate enhancing? So that's the premise of this report. So in the area of responses to 911 calls and resolving crime, dedicated staff to traffic safety and practicing community-oriented policing, prior year we had $1.6 million. This year we are recommending $1.9 million to be maintained and funded by Measure F. That difference reflects the addition of necessary fleet and equipment. The police chief has informed us during the deliberation process that those fleet replacements are critical. The next line relates to the fire station, keeping them open 24 hours. As you may recall, at our last committee meeting, Deputy City Manager Rossman explained that during the budget cut discussion, there were one or more stations that we would have browned out, which means we would have closed them for certain hours of the day based on call history. And thanks to Measure F, we did not do that and are not doing that. Last year, this line item was $1.5 million. This year, we're recommending $1.8 million because we will continue to sustain the 24/7 coverage, plus recommend the replacement of fleet and important apparatuses that go on, accessories that go on to the apparatus. And so that's our recommendation there, which is $1.8 million. The next item relates to recreation, cultural, community services here. So that was last year, $400,000. This year, we're recommending $500,000. That relates really to some part-time staffing to continue to support the services as these service demands increase, because now we're opening, there's more utility and participation. Parks, trees, facilities, obviously close to the hearts of the members here based on our discussion chair just now. Last year, this was about $900,000. This year, we're recommending $1.3 million. A lot of that has to do with the discussions that you may have heard during council regarding streetscape and parks service level, and also Public Works needs to replace certain fleet as well. Going on to local business, economic recovery, retention, workforce development. Prior year, this was $150. We're recommending $150 plus some more for services related to helping the community. We're looking at what's called property asset management to help us inform and manage our services. Neighborhood preservation and code enforcement. Previously, this was at $150. We're recommending the $150 plus augmenting it by $400,000 to $400,000. And so this is an important area for us related to neighborhood preservation, public safety, and code enforcement there. Last but not least, as you may recall, we have a contract for free library services with the county. But in order to maintain our extended hours for the Milpitas library, we have to pay the county extra. That's about 300,000 that was disclosed in the prior report, and that's something that we recommend continuing as well. So that summarizes the 6.4 million and areas that we think are consistent with Measure F funds. That's my report, Chair.
Thank you.
Of course.
So the our action is to recommend, or I suppose not recommend, these expenditures as being consistent with Measure F, with our interpretation of Measure F. Now, note that the city council determines funding, and yes.
So Neil, there's no finer granularity that's available to us on these, because service for parks and trees is fine. That sounds great. I don't really understand what that is. Is that rakes or lawnmowers or paying people or hiring 4 more staff? I really don't know. So I'm going to, unless we can get the granularity, I'm just going to say these all seem reasonable, but without knowing what it really is, like just taking the city's word for it, right?
Staff, can you comment on the available granularity?
No, these are high level. During the budget deliberation process in the prior year, we had certain positions and contract services that were on the chopping board, as I mentioned. Those services were retained. And since then, since this is the second year of the budget development, there are additional services that we have in development right now that we're proposing to council that would add to those. So not down to the finer detail, more at the service level here. So it's a combination of positions, contract services, and large equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the items are pretty much kind of generic, and it can encompass a lot of different things. And so I was just thinking, like the services for aquatic, senior, and youth services, like for instance, what Joyita is proposing, some of those could be applied to this Calaveras Hills Garden Club, because that's youth services, so maybe it's good to be in generality so that we can accommodate a lot of different requests. But hopefully there are really line item underneath it that's very specific, because we don't want to overlook the important services that is really counting on this Measure F money.
So Neil, do you need a motion to approve? Is that what you need at this point?
I would call it a motion to recommend these expenditures as consistent with Measure F.
Well, I'll make that motion if you like.
I
Okay.
just wanted to add something. Everything is, I understand everything here, but there is one particular thing, which is the look of the city, which is the cleanliness of the city. Everything, aside, when anybody walks into the city has to look good. And right now, like many other cities, we also have a lot of trash everywhere. So where are we having that budget where we are finding that, it's focused, that our city is getting cleaned and this is the money we have allotted for it. And I want to see that in this section here.
Isn't there
Would you
a
like me to
maintenance
respond?
department in the city hall? Doesn't the city hall have maintenance?
Well,
Right.
but these funds,
Chair,
Lauren,
would you
correct me
like-
if I'm wrong. These funds are to cover where we had a shortfall.
Right,
The
exactly.
city was going to continue to clean the city no matter
Right.
what.
Yeah,
So we're not covering the shortfall. This is just the stuff collected by Measure F to cover a shortfall. Is that correct, Lauren?
It's a combination. Let me explain the spirit and the primary reason why we had Measure F, right? it's to maintain services that we would otherwise have cut. And so that's why I said the premise was to look at what we cut or were planning to cut when we were going into the election. Those services were retained. Now with some of that, we're also looking at finer areas where we might be able to add, right? Because the general fund is recovering. You'll see other line items in the budget where we have revenue enhancements. So there are small areas where we're hoping we can enhance services that are critical in these major service areas, such as public safety fleet, right? We want to recommend some of the police and fire apparatus replacements. And to Johita's point, you'll see there under parks, trees, and facilities maintenance, the cleanliness of the city is also a council priority. We have been talking about this at several sessions, namely in November, we had a discussion about public works streetscape. That's like the median maintenance, and then also our parks condition. So that is part of this budget development and part of what we'll bring back to council. So as I mentioned there on the line item for parks, tree, and facilities, last year was 900,000. We're bumping up that to $1.4 million because that will reflect some of the streetscape activity that council would like to see improved. A bit more on parks improvement, and then also the equipment and vehicle that the Public Works Department needs. So I think that should resonate with your concern, Johita, about cleanliness of the city.
Okay.
And Lauren, also there's the cross the judicial problems within the city also, right? Having to work with county and state on certain
Correct.
pieces of property.
Correct. Because some jurisdiction, there's cross jurisdictions such as Caltrain, so not all corridors belong to the city. So there's that type of legal nuance that members of the public don't understand either. But I think to the extent of what we have and what we oversee, it is our hope in this next budget cycle that we can appropriate more to make some of these improvements. So we've heard that pretty loud and clear from the council. So we're doing our best in this budget development to bring that forward.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
Okay, I believe there is a motion on the table to recommend acceptance of these expenditures. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Now, we are being asked to recommend that these expenditures are consistent with Measure F. The city council is going to spend the money however they see fit. We may be able to influence them one way or another with our recommendation. Any further discussion? Okay, please call the roll for a vote.
Rita,
Aye.
Jade,
Yeah,
Chair,
I'm going to abstain on this one.
and me,
Aye.
Conrad,
Aye.
Daniel.
Aye.
And Ranjit.
I abstain.
We have 5 ayes and 2 abstain.
So the motion carries. Back to our agenda. Does the staff or liaison have any reports to present?
Chair, I just want to know for the committee that earlier this afternoon, the committee secretary Roseanne sent out a memo from the city attorney's office related to a couple questions regarding the audit, financial audit, and then also regarding Measure F being a general tax. So I just wanted to make sure folks received that, and it was distributed. And because it's an informational item, Chair, we respectively cannot have a discussion about the item tonight.
Okay,
It was received.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I received it too.
Great. The beauty of emails. And Chair, if you don't mind, the secretary has a few administrative updates as well. Roseanne, can you please assist us with those?
Sure. So I just wanted to brief everyone on the resignation process. When a member resigns from the committee, it needs to be done in writing. So an email is fine to address Lauren, myself, and Ashwini, and then we'll pass it on to the appropriate people. So when that happens, the city clerk will notify Mayor Tran and the city council of the vacancy, and it will be up to the council to appoint a new member of the committee. If the committee member is a voting member, in order for an alternate to become a voting member, they have to be appointed by the mayor. So you don't automatically get a bump up to a voting seat. Any questions on that?
And Roseanne, we currently have 2 vacancies, correct?
Correct. We have 2 vacancies. Harsh Patel and Donwat Dhaliwal have resigned. Our next Measure F meeting is to be held on June 16th. At that time, we are expected to have in-person meetings by the summer. So we will keep everyone notified on the progress of that.
are the vacancies for the same role as the person who resigned? For example, we have 1 regular committee member and 1 alternate?
That is correct. Harsh Patala was a regular committee member and Donwat was an alternate.
Is there any youth advisory vacancy for this committee?
This committee was not designed as such.
Okay.
Great question.
So to confirm or to clarify, Ranjit, if as an alternate, if you wanted to become a voting member, you would have to reapply as a voting member.
Yeah, when you can, please send me the process. I will check that.
Roseanne, I think Ranjit can send an email to the mayor as well, requesting an appointment to be a regular member. And then the mayor will consider it. And if he wants to move it forward, it goes to the full council.
Okay.
Have our vacancies been advertised?
I believe so. They do need to go to the city council and they get advertised within a certain, so the city clerk handles that process, Chair. And so as soon as she's notified, she agendizes it for the council meeting and then has the unscheduled vacancy advertised.
Right, and the alternate position was just noticed this week, so I imagine that might take a little time. Roseanne, did you have any more updates you wanted to share with the committee?
Yes, I have one more update. As stated in the commission bylaws, section 3, term of office and removal, members and alternates are expected to attend all meetings. When any member or alternate has 3 or more absences in a 12-month period, the city clerk's office shall forward this information to the city council for review and possible removal of the member or alternate of the commission. Any member or alternate of the commission may be removed from office at any time by simple majority vote of the city council at a regular scheduled council meeting, with or without cause. So basically, if you're absent more than 3 or more times, in a 12-month period, the city clerk will make a recommendation to the council.
Which leads to the question, have any members been absent 3 or more times, or let's lower the bar a bit, 2 or more times, and is possibly in danger of being absent a 3rd time?
There are.
Okay,
I will be absent in the next meeting. We already planned a vacation to Yellowstone. Sorry.
is that for the staff and liaison reports?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, and it's our witching hour anyway.
Mhm.
I think we're in adjournment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Night, everyone.